You are walking into a European city in the year 1750. There is no dramatic skyline ahead of you, no forest of chimneys, no constant mechanical noise pulling you forward. The city does not announce itself loudly. It reveals itself gradually. The road narrows as you approach. Dirt gives way to stone. Movement slows, not because of rules or signals, but because this is how the city works. This is not a city built for speed. It is built for proximity. Everything you are about to see exists within walking distance. Work, home, trade, worship, and social life are not separated by zones or infrastructure. They are layered tightly together. Energy here comes almost entirely from people, animals, wind, and daylight. Nothing moves unless someone or something physically moves it. As you step further inside, scale becomes immediately apparent. The streets are narrow. Buildings rise close together, often leaning slightly inward with age. Windows are near enough that voices travel easily from one side of the street to the other. This is a city designed by habit, not by master plans. It has grown slowly, shaped by centuries of daily use. You walk at the pace of everyone else. There is no reason to hurry. Most people here are on foot. Some lead animals. A few carts pass carefully, wheels grinding softly against uneven stone. Movement is negotiated constantly. A glance, a pause, a small adjustment in direction. There are no traffic systems because none are needed. The street itself is the system. This is a city where distance is measured in minutes, not miles. As you continue walking, sound begins to define the space around you. Not noise, but individual sounds. Footsteps, wood scraping against wood. Iron striking iron, once, then stopping. Voices layered over one another, rising and falling. Work sounds human here. Tools are used rhythmically, not continuously. Effort comes in bursts, followed by pauses. There is no constant background roar. Silence returns often. The city breathes. This is what an urban environment sounds like before machines dominate time. Work is not hidden behind walls or confined to distant districts. It happens at street level. A cobbler sits near his doorway, repairing worn shoes by hand. Leather bends and creases under his fingers. The tools he uses are simple and familiar. A few steps away, a cooper shapes wooden staves into a barrel. Each movement is precise. Each strike measured. Metalworkers, tailors, bakers, carpenters. Each trade occupies its own small space, often spilling outward into the street. Production is slow, individual, personal. One person, one set of tools, one object at a time. Nothing here is anonymous. You can see how things are made. You can hear it. You can smell it. Bread baking, leather curing, smoke from small hearths and workshops. This is a city where labor is visible, and skill is understood because it must be. As you move further inward, the streets begin to open slightly. You find yourself approaching a market area. Markets are not special events here. They are part of daily life. Stalls line the square, filled with food, cloth, tools, and household goods. Most of what you see comes from nearby. Local farms, local workshops, local hands. Trade is face-to-face. Prices are discussed, not displayed. Trust matters. Reputation matters. The people selling here are often the same people who made the goods. There is no distance between production and exchange. Seasonality shapes everything. What is available today may not be available next month. The city feeds itself slowly, predictably, and with constant awareness of limits. Animals move easily through this space. They are not obstacles. They are part of the system. Horses pull carts loaded with goods. Donkeys carry baskets and bundles. Chickens wander freely, ignored unless they get in the way. Animals provide transport, power, food, and labor. They are infrastructure. Urban life here depends entirely on muscle, human and animal alike. There is no alternative. As you leave the market and continue walking, you begin to notice how people live. Homes are compact. Space is valuable. Buildings rise vertically rather than spreading outward. Shops occupy the ground floor. Families live above. Work and life are not separated. They are stacked. A tailor may work downstairs while children play above. A baker's family lives directly over the oven that supports them. Privacy is limited. Community is unavoidable. Neighbors know each other's routines. Sounds, smells, and movements travel easily between households. Conflict happens, but so does cooperation. There is no way to disappear into the background here. The city enforces closeness simply by how it is built. Time itself feels different. There are no clocks regulating work by the minute. No factory whistles marking shifts. The day begins with light and ends with darkness. Season, weather, and daylight determine the rhythm of labor. Winter shortens the day. Summer stretches it. This city runs on biological time. People work when they can see. They stop when they cannot. As afternoon approaches, the pace of the streets begins to change. Movement slows. Work tapers off. People gather in doorways in small squares, near wells and intersections. Conversation fills the spaces left by labor. News spreads by voice. Information travels at walking speed. Public space belongs to everyone. Children play nearby. Adults talk, argue, laugh, negotiate. Entertainment is informal. Social life is constant. Isolation is rare. Anonymity almost non-existent. As you walk, it becomes clear what is missing. There are no factories. No large industrial buildings. No smokestacks cutting into the sky. The skyline is clean, broken only by church towers and rooftops. This city is efficient only at human scale. It works because everything is close, slow, and interconnected. But this balance is fragile. Within decades, machines will arrive. Production will concentrate. Distances will grow. Work will separate from home. Noise will become constant. But for now, in 1750, this world still holds. This is a city before factories, before speed, before industrial time reshapes daily life. You are walking through a moment that will not last much longer. As you continue walking through the city, you begin to notice how ordered everything feels, despite the lack of visible systems. There are no signs, no schedules posted on walls, no centralized control directing movement. And yet the city functions. This order does not come from technology or bureaucracy. It comes from repetition. People here know where they belong, where they are expected to be, and when. Not because they are told, but because the rhythm of the city has shaped them from birth. Most work follows patterns that change little from one generation to the next. Trades are learned early, often from parents, relatives, or neighbors. A child growing up above a workshop absorbs the craft long before formally practicing it. Tools are familiar objects, not specialized equipment locked away. Skill is accumulated slowly, through years of repetition. There is no concept of rapid training or career change. Your place in the city is usually decided early, reinforced daily. As you walk, you pass apprentices carrying materials for their masters. Young men and women running errands, learning routes, faces, and routines. This city trains its people simply by existing. Work here is physically demanding, but it is rarely abstract. Effort produces visible results. A repaired shoe, a finished barrel, a baked loaf. The connection between labor and outcome is direct and immediate. Nothing is produced in bulk. Nothing is made for distant markets. Most goods are consumed within the same city that created them. This limits growth, but it also limits complexity. The city does not expand faster than its ability to sustain itself. As you move deeper into residential areas, you begin to notice how tightly packed daily life really is. Rooms are small. Furniture is minimal. Possessions are few. Storage space is limited, which means accumulation is discouraged by design. People own what they need, repair what they can, and reuse what breaks. Waste is minimal, not because of ideology, but because scarcity makes efficiency necessary. Nothing here is disposable. Clothing is mended repeatedly. Tools are repaired, reshaped, passed down. Objects have long lives because replacing them is costly. As you walk past open windows, you catch glimpses of domestic life. Meals being prepared, clothes being washed, children sharing limited space. Privacy exists, but it is thin. Sound travels easily. Smell travels even more easily. The city is an intimate place, whether its inhabitants want it to be or not. This closeness shapes behavior. People learn restraint, compromise, and cooperation not through instruction, but through necessity. Conflicts cannot be ignored. They must be resolved, or at least managed. As you walk on, you pass religious buildings rising above the surrounding structures. Churches dominate the skyline, not just physically but socially. They serve as gathering points, markers of time, and sources of authority. Bells ring to mark hours, services, and events. In a city without standardized clocks, sound defines time. Religion structures the week, the year, and much of social life. But even here, religion is woven into daily routine rather than separated from it. People do not travel far to worship. They attend the church closest to their home, among people they already know. Faith is local. The city you are walking through is not equal. Hierarchy is visible everywhere. Clothing signals status. Housing signals status. Work signals status. Some trades carry more respect than others. Some families occupy better locations, wider streets, sturdier buildings. Wealth exists, but it is limited by the scale of the city. There are no industrial fortunes here. No massive concentrations of capital. The wealthy live closer to the center. The poor occupy tighter spaces, often at the edges. But even the poorest remain integrated into the city's daily life. There are no distant slums. No separated industrial districts. Inequality is present but compressed. As you continue walking, you begin to notice how slowly information travels. News spreads by word of mouth. Rumors move faster than facts. Printed material exists, but literacy is uneven and access is limited. Most people learn what is happening in the city through conversation. This makes social networks essential. Knowing people matters more than knowing systems. Reputation functions as a form of currency. A trustworthy individual finds work, credit, and support. An unreliable one quickly struggles. The city remembers. As the day moves on, light begins to shift. Shadows grow longer in the streets. Work gradually slows. There is no sharp division between working hours and leisure. The transition is gradual, organic. People stop working when visibility drops or fatigue sets in. There is no incentive to push beyond physical limits. Productivity is bounded by the body. As evening approaches, the city becomes quieter. Not silent, but calmer. Some shops close their shutters. Others remain open a little longer, depending on custom and necessity. Candles and oil lamps appear in windows and doorways. Light is expensive, so it is used sparingly. Night changes behavior. Movement slows further. Streets feel narrower. Without artificial lighting, the city becomes a different place after dark. People remain close to home. Social activity concentrates indoors. The city contracts. This daily contraction and expansion is part of its rhythm. Daytime brings openness, visibility, and movement. Night brings enclosure, rest, and caution. Nothing operates continuously. As you walk toward the edge of the city once more, you realize how self-contained it is. Most inhabitants will never travel far beyond these streets. Their entire world exists within a few kilometers. This creates stability, but also limits perspective. Change comes slowly here. Traditions persist because there is little pressure to disrupt them. Innovation exists, but it spreads gradually. The city resists sudden transformation simply by how it is structured. This is why the coming industrial revolution will be so disruptive. It will not just introduce machines. It will break this rhythm. It will stretch distances, concentrate labor, separate work from home. But for now, this city still operates as it has for centuries. Balanced, limited, human-scaled. You are walking through a system that works precisely because it has not yet been optimized. And that may be its greatest strength. As you continue walking through the city, another reality becomes impossible to ignore. This is a place of constant uncertainty. Life here is stable in rhythm, but fragile in outcome. Illness, injury, and accident are ever-present risks. There is no safety net in the modern sense. No hospitals as we know them. No antibiotics. No standardized medical care. Health is managed locally, informally, and imperfectly. You pass small apothecaries selling herbs, powders, and tinctures. Their shelves are filled with remedies based on tradition, experience, and belief. Some treatments help. Many do nothing. A few make things worse. Doctors exist, but they are rare, expensive, and often no more effective than folk healers. Most people rely on home remedies, neighbors, and family knowledge. Illness is treated as part of life, not an exception to it. As you walk, you notice signs of past sickness etched into faces and bodies. Scars from injuries that never fully healed. Limps that will never disappear. Missing teeth. Clouded eyes. Survival leaves marks. In this city, reaching old age is an achievement, not an expectation. Childhood is especially uncertain. Many children do not survive infancy. Those who do grow up quickly. There is little separation between childhood and adulthood. Children work early, help early, learn responsibility early. The city does not protect them from hardship. It introduces them to it immediately. As you pass through residential streets, you see how closely people live together. This closeness creates community, but it also spreads disease. When illness arrives, it moves quickly. There is no quarantine system as we would recognize it. No centralized response. People rely on experience and instinct, avoiding certain houses, keeping distance when possible. But space is limited, and avoidance has its limits. Disease is a regular visitor here. Not dramatic, not rare. Simply present. As you continue walking, the smell of the city becomes more noticeable. Waste disposal is rudimentary. Human and animal waste must be managed daily locally. Some streets are cleaner than others. Maintenance depends on neighborhood cooperation. Water sources are precious. Wells and pumps are shared. Contamination is poorly understood. Clean water is not guaranteed. This adds another layer of risk to daily life. People adapt through habit rather than knowledge. They know which wells are safer, which streets to avoid after rain, which foods spoil quickly. Knowledge is practical, experiential, and localized. As you move toward areas closer to the city edge, you encounter small institutions designed to manage vulnerability. Charitable houses, alms distribution points, religious aid. Support exists, but it is limited and conditional. Assistance is tied to reputation, belonging, and perceived worthiness. The city does not provide universal care. It provides selective help. Falling too far outside the social fabric is dangerous. As evening approaches again, the risks of daily life shift. Fire becomes a greater concern. Buildings are tightly packed. Many are made of wood. Open flames are common. Cooking, heating, lighting, all rely on fire. Small accidents can become catastrophic. Cities live with the constant threat of fire, accepted as part of urban existence. People know what to do when flames appear. Bells ring. Buckets move hand to hand. Response is communal, immediate, and limited by physical effort. There are no engines to save the city. Only people. As darkness settles, security becomes another concern. There is no modern policing force. Order is maintained through custom, visibility, and reputation. Guards exist in some cities, but their reach is limited. Crime happens, but it rarely takes dramatic forms. Petty theft, disputes, occasional violence. Severe crime stands out precisely because it is rare and disruptive. The city relies on mutual recognition. Everyone knows who belongs and who does not. Strangers are noticed immediately. This makes anonymity difficult, which acts as a form of control. As you walk through dimly lit streets, you become aware of how dependent movement is on familiarity. People know where to step, where the ground is uneven, where the corners are sharp. Night travel requires memory. Those who lack it are vulnerable. The city after dark belongs to those who know it well. Despite these risks, life continues with remarkable resilience. People marry, raise families, invest emotionally in their neighborhoods. They plan futures despite uncertainty. This is not a city defined by fear, but by acceptance. Risk is not something to be eliminated. It is something to be managed, endured, and normalized. As you walk on, you realize how different this makes people. Caution is built into behavior. Excess is rare. People do not assume safety. They work within its limits. This shapes attitudes toward time, effort, and ambition. Long-term planning exists, but it is modest. People aim for stability, not expansion. The idea of constant growth does not dominate thought. Survival, continuity, and reputation matter more. As you approach the quieter edges of the city, the contrast with the coming industrial world becomes clearer. Industry will promise control, predictability, efficiency, but it will also introduce new risks, new forms of vulnerability. In 1750, danger is visible, familiar, and human-scaled. It lives in fire, illness, fatigue, and scarcity. It does not hide inside machines or systems. The city's inhabitants understand this world because they live inside it daily. They do not romanticize it. They endure it. As you walk, you are not witnessing a golden age. You are witnessing a functioning one. A city balanced on habit, proximity, and shared risk. Soon, that balance will shift. But for now, this is life as it is known. Uncertain, fragile, and entirely human. As you continue walking, the city begins to feel familiar. Not because you know every street, but because you understand how it works. Nothing here is accidental. Every habit, every routine, every limitation serves a purpose. This city functions because it is small enough to be understood by the people who live in it. Because distance is short. Because time is slow. Because work, home, and community are tightly bound together. Life here is demanding, uncertain, and physically hard. But it is also legible. People know where food comes from. They know who makes their clothes. They know who repairs their tools. Cause and effect are visible. When something breaks, it is fixed by hand. When someone struggles, help comes from neighbors, family, or community institutions. There is no illusion of infinite growth. No belief that tomorrow must be larger, faster, or more productive than today. Stability is the goal. This does not make life easy. It makes it predictable. And predictability, in a world without modern safety nets, is valuable. As you walk through the city one last time, you begin to sense what is missing not as absence, but as potential. Machines do not yet dominate labor. Energy is limited by muscle, wind, and daylight. Production cannot easily scale beyond human limits. This keeps the city balanced, but also vulnerable. Because just beyond this moment in time, everything is about to change. Factories will arrive. Work will concentrate. Noise will become constant. Cities will grow faster than tradition can manage. Distance will stretch. Time will be measured, divided, and sold. The closeness you feel here will begin to dissolve. Work will move away from home. Production will disappear behind walls. The city will no longer be fully understandable from street level. In 1750, none of this has happened yet. The people walking beside you do not see themselves as living in a before. This is simply the world as it has always been. They cannot imagine smokestacks, assembly lines, or industrial schedules. They live within limits they understand and accept. This is not a romantic world. It is not gentle or fair, but it is coherent. Every part fits the scale of the human body. And that is what makes this moment in time worth understanding. Because once industry arrives, cities will no longer be shaped primarily by people walking through them. They will be shaped by systems, machines, and flows that are harder to see. What you are walking through now is a city still governed by proximity, by routine, by human presence. A city that works not because it is optimized, but because it is familiar. This is what a European city looked like in 1750. A world on the edge of transformation, balanced, limited, and about to disappear.